3A News present the endocrine and reproductive system.
This concludes the impeachment of Donald Trump. We'll have more on this story next week, but for now, we'll transition to the science section. Today we'll be discussing the endocrine and reproductive system.
The endocrine system plays a huge role in our body, so let's start off by talking about some of its major functions. The endocrine system is made up of several glands that are used to secrete hormones into the circulatory system. These hormones help regulate functions such as metabolism, growth and development, reproduction, homeostasis, and response to stimuli. The glands of the endocrine system include the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thymus, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal glands, pancreas, ovaries, and the testes. Let's start off with the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is located below the thalamus of the brain and above the pituitary gland. It plays a major role in the endocrine system because its main responsibility is to maintain the body's homeostasis. It inhibits or stimulates processes such as heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, fluid and electrolyte balance, and appetite. The hypothalamus secretes hormones such as PRH, which stimulates breast milk production, and GHRH, which controls the release of growth hormones and controls body composition. The pituitary gland is a pea-sized gland in the endocrine system which is located in the center of the skull. It has two functionally distinct regions, the anterior lobe and the posterior lobe. The anterior lobe works to produce and release hormones. The posterior lobe takes the hormones made in the nerve cells from the hypothalamus and releases them into the body's circulation. These can cause other glands to then release their hormones. The thymus is more active in the immune system than the endocrine system. However, the thymus does release hormones which trigger the T cell development. Its two lobes work together to receive immature white blood cells to train them into fully mature thylymphocyte cells. These white blood cells can then attack foreign cells and play a key role in protecting the body from pathogens, as they also activate antibodies. The thyroid gland is a butterfly-shaped organ located in the base of your neck. It controls metabolism and regulates breathing, heart rate, central and peripheral nervous systems, body weight, muscle strength, menstrual cycles, body temperature, cholesterol, and blood levels. It uses the iodine from the food to create the hormones T3 and T4, which acts at the base of metabolic rate and affects protein synthesis. From directing the digestion in the intestines to regulating heart rate, the hormones of T3 and T4 are extremely necessary for proper homeostasis. The parathyroid glands are located in the neck behind the thyroid. The main function of this gland is to control the amount of calcium in the blood and bones. Calcium is an essential element in the human body because it provides the means for which electrical impulses can travel through the nerves. Calcium is also used to strengthen the skeletal system. The bones serve as a large storage system for the calcium. The parathyroid glands measure the amount of calcium in the blood every minute, and if the calcium levels decrease a bit, it recognizes it and makes the parathyroid hormones to pull calcium from the bones and put it into the blood. The human body has two adrenal glands that are located over the kidneys. The adrenal gland secretes a variety of hormones including adrenal, steroids, cortisol, and aldosterone. These hormones help the body control blood sugar, protein and fat, react to stressors like major illnesses or injury, and regulate blood pressure. The pancreas is a gland that is located at the back of the abdomen behind the stomach. It is about 6 inches long and shaped like a flat pear. The main function of the pancreas is to produce enzymes which help in digestion using exocrine cells. When food enters the stomach, the exocrine cells release the pancreatic enzymes into the system of ducts that leads to the pancreatic duct, which connects with the common bile duct to aid in digestion of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. The pancreas also produces two main hormones, insulin and glucagon, which are used to control blood sugar levels. Insulin lowers blood sugar levels while glucagon raises blood sugar levels. Hormones are the body's chemical messengers, which assist in almost all aspects of bodily functions. From feeling of hunger to reproduction, hormones provoke the body into maintaining homeostasis. Hormones can also affect moods and physical appearance, making them a vital part of a person's personality and characteristics. Many hormones can also be classified as steroids. Three of the most well-known and influential hormones is adrenaline, testosterone, and estrogen. Adrenaline is a natural stimulant that notifies the nervous system to increase the heart rate to issue a fight or flight response. Testosterone is the primary cause of an increase in hair, broader shoulders, and overall growth of males in puberty. Estrogen brings on the growth of feminine features for females, as well as the beginning of their menstrual cycles. Estrogen and testosterone are made primarily by the genitalia of each gender, but are also made in the adrenal glands. The hypothalamus interacts heavily with the nervous system found in the brain. Hormones created by the hypothalamus send feedback to the brain to further the neuroprocessing between the endocrine and the nervous systems. The hypothalamus produces, releases, and inhibits hormones which stop and start the production of other hormones throughout the body, including those that cause reactions found inside the brain. The endocrine system works with the system through the pancreas, which produces the hormone insulin as well. When we digest carbohydrates through the digestive system, they are then transformed into sugars. It also works with the circulatory system to send hormones throughout the body where they can be received by various organs and cells, then put into use for bodily functions. The endocrine system in insects is very different from the ones in humans. The endocrine system in insects produces hormones through glandular, neuroglandular, and neuronal centers. The four centers include the neurosecretory cells, the corpora cardacea, the prothoracic glands, and the corpora allata. The neurosecretory cells are located in the brain and can produce one or more hormones that affect growth, reproduction, homeostasis, and metamorphosis. The corpora cardiaca are the pair of neuroglandular bodies that are found behind the brain. They're responsible for the production of neurohormones, including PTTH, which stimulates the secretory activity of the prothoracic glands. The prothoracic glands secrete excidone, which is a hormone that is responsible for molting. The corpora allata are small paired glandular bodies that secrete the juvenile hormone, which is responsible for regulating reproduction and metamorphosis. The endocrine system in fish serves a similar purpose to the ones in humans. In both humans and fish, the endocrine system is a collection of glands and produce hormones to regulate the processes in the body. Each variant are responsible for regulation of social behavior and the use of oxytocin, a peptide hormone, to indicate it. Among the most primitive of the fish, the endocrine system was found in the jawless fish, while the bony fish have a slightly closer resemblance to our more complex version.
Now that we have an idea about most of the major parts and their functions in the endocrine system, let's take a short break and see what the weather forecast is like for today.
Well, Emil, the weather is fine, but instead of the weather, I thought I could contribute to the science section of the day by explaining the remaining parts with complex illustrations. First are the ovaries, which are found in the female system, which produces hormones like estrogen and the ova, or eggs. This illustration depicts the follicles developing into mature ova, as well as the estrogen, which is ready to be sent out all over the body. The ova is carried then inside the fallopian tubes to the uterus, where it can be fertilized if sperm is present. Next are the testes, found in the male system, which produce hormones like testosterone and sperm. Unlike in females, these gonads are near the outside of the body, so the sperm can be kept at a healthy, cooler temperature. In this diagram, the sperm would be made in the pink area of the fibrosis castle and be stored in the epidermis. Now back to newscaster Emil and how the endocrine system works with other systems in the body.
DreamWorks has announced that there's a new Shrek movie that is planning a release in 2019. A lot of you have probably watched the Shrek movie, but I bet many of you don't know that Shrek was originally influenced by a French wrestler, Maurice Tillet, aka the French Angel, who had a rare condition affecting the endocrine system called gigantism. This was caused by a tumor that affects the pituitary gland of the endocrine system and causes it to produce more growth hormones than the body needs. This causes an abnormal growth of the hands, face, feet, and when the tumor occurs during puberty, it can result in people who are like 7 to 9 feet tall. Gigantism can cause multiple health issues in the circulatory and skeletal system. Another disease that affects the endocrine system is diabetes. There are two types of diabetes. Type 1, which usually occurs at a younger age and is due to genetics, and Type 2, which occurs at an older age and is due to a combination of genetics and lifestyle. Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas produces little to no insulin, which is a hormone that is needed for glucose to enter the cells to produce energy. Type 2 is when your body does not use the insulin produced properly and becomes resistant to it. This can damage the cell in your pancreas, which can prevent it from producing any more insulin. A major risk factor for type 2 diabetes is obesity because fatty tissue makes your cells more resistant to insulin. Both type 1 and type 2 diabetes causes glucose to build up in your bloodstream, which can lead to a variety of other complications such as nerve damage. Both diseases are chronic, but they can be treated through medication, exercise, and diet. For our third disease that affects the endocrine system, let's travel to the field with reporter Marvin, who has met with someone affected by the third disease involving the endocrine system we're talking about today, pancreatitis.
So Calvin, I understand that you suffer from a form of pancreatitis. Is it acute or is it chronic? What are its effects? Please explain.
Unlike acute pancreatitis, which inflames the pancreas for only a short time and can be treated, I suffer from chronic pancreatitis, meaning I suffer from upper abdominal pain, swelling of the abdomen, nausea, and vomiting, and fever very often.
How did your chronic pancreatitis form?
My form of chronic pancreatitis, which in most cases is an effect of extreme alcoholism, is due to my hereditary background of pancreatitis disorders.
Can it be cured?
Unfortunately, my chronic pancreatitis, like most people affected, cannot be cured but only controlled. Under my doctor, I am under a strict healthy diet with pancreatic enzymes and insulin to assist my pancreas. In rare cases, it must be done to relieve abdominal pain.
Thank you so much for your time. Now back to Emil.
For our final segment on the endocrine system, we move on to our 4 fun facts. For our first fun fact, stress kicks the endocrine system into higher gear. For instance, in stressful times, the adrenal and pituitary glands actually work together to increase the amount of the hormone adrenaline. For our second fun fact, according to a 2011 study, prolonged stress, as mentioned in the previous fact, can increase the likelihood of certain endocrine disorders such as Graves' disease and obesity. Our third fun fact comes from the endocrine part found in male sharks. For these aquatic creatures, the right testes is often bigger than the left. For our final fun fact concerning the endocrine system, we shall look at the system's most commonly diagnosed disorder, diabetes. Hippocrates, who lived around 400 BC, was the first to diagnose diabetes. He did this by tasting the patient's urine, which was much sweeter than people not affected. Now we move on to the reproductive system, where we will begin with its functions.
The reproductive system of an organism is tasked with the central goal of creating offspring. This is a natural instinct for an organism to a desire of survival in its species. It does this by passing on its genetic information either sexually or asexually. Here to explain the human reproductive system is the weatherman, Jack again, who insisted on explaining the organ's parts and primary functions.
Here is Jack the weatherman, who insisted on explaining the organs of the reproductive system.
In addition to the ovaries of the female reproduction system, the vagina is where the female receives the male penis. In the fallopian tubes, the ova gets passed on to the uterus. It is in the uterus where the sperm from the penis comes into contact with the ovum, and is where the embryonic development of a child occurs during pregnancy. In addition to the testes of the male reproductive system, the penis is what the semen travels through during ejaculation, exiting through the urethra, or penis's tip. The epidermis is a series of places where the sperm is stored. The scrotum is the outer layer encasing the genitals. The vas deferens is what the sperm travels through to get to the seminal vesicle. Lastly, the prostate gland and seminal vesicle assist in producing the fluid for the sperm, resulting in semen. Moving on to comparing the genitalia, both systems have hormones produced for them by glands in the endocrine system, such as testosterone and estrogen. Both have gametes, sperm and ovum, produced in their respective gonads, the testes and ovaries. However, the amount of gametes each system produces varies greatly. Females have a certain number of ova after being born, and each one is released roughly each month until menopause occurs roughly between the ages 45 and 50. Healthy males, however, continue to produce sperm in all of their adulthood, and thus have an unlimited supply. Another major difference is that the female system is capable of producing and nurturing a baby, while the male system acts as the deliverer of the sperm in the process of making life.
For reptiles, the reproductive system is characterized as mostly acting sexually, while some snakes and lizards can produce asexually if necessary. During sex, a male hemipenis disposes sperm into the female cloaca. Though most reptiles give birth to eggs, some snakes give birth to live young, commonly where the offspring embryonic development is in an egg which hatches inside the mother near birth. Also, male reptiles have copulatory organs, which are usually retracted or inverted and stored inside the body. In turtles and crocodilians, the male has a single median penis-like organ, while male snakes and lizards each possess a pair of penis-like organs. In fish, the reproductive process stands much different from that of humans. Over 97% of fish species fertilize their eggs outside of the body, meaning that they are oviparous. In this process, the gametes are shed from the anus and begin fertilization when coming into contact with the opposite sexes. In most females fish, the production of gametes continues all throughout life. Certain fish species of fish possess hermaphroditism, where individuals have both gender organs and alternate between the two if necessary. This is present in clownfish, where if the female dies, a new male can enter, resulting in sex change of the original clownfish. Moving on to plants, the vast variety among the kingdom can reproduce either asexually or sexually. First, we will focus on the asexual reproduction. Asexually is normally used in desperate times, but has the benefit of an increased rate of maturity and genetic stability since no gametes are fused. The two main types of asexual reproduction in plants are vegetative reproduction and apomixis. In vegetative reproduction, no spores or seeds are present, as roots, stems, and leaves are planted to give rise to a separate individual. In apomixis, clones are made in the ovaries, where pollen is non-present, yet the creation of seeds occur. In both cases of asexual reproduction, the genetic material of a single individual can now expand to increase to biomass of the species. Sexual reproduction can be explained in an example of flowering plants. In these plants, pistils contain ova and stamens that contain sperm. Often by traveling insects or winds, the stamen can pollinate the pistils, resulting in a fertilized egg. The egg can become a seed and can be used to spawn offspring. The endocrine system regulates the production of enzymes that involve the reproductive system's progress of making gametes. In addition, the endocrine system is responsible for the hormones released by the testes and ovaries. The circulatory system maintains the tissues and provides physical mechanisms for arousal, since the penile and clitoral erectile tissues relies on the circulatory system. Lastly, the nervous system takes the signal delivered from the endocrine hormone production glands, which make the key components to the science behind sexual arousal possible.
Astoundingly, it has been recently revealed that Cuba became the first country to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of syphilis, a common disease in developing countries that affects the reproductive system. Syphilis can take 90 days of symptoms to start to show, with some sores and rashes that can spread all over the body. If left untreated, it can lead to brain damage, paralysis, blindness, and even death. However, since syphilis is caused by bacteria, it is curable with antibiotics, as shown with the wonderful achievement in Cuba. Unknown to many, it has been revealed over the internet with much questioning that actor Bruce Lee has an undescended testicle. Despite the controversy, this possible condition is due to cryptorchidism, a reproductive disease in males where there is a lack of descent in one or both of the testicles. If not fixed by surgery before puberty, this disease can lead to sterility and an increased chance of testicular cancer. A third disease involving the reproductive system. Let's turn to the reporter, Marvin, who is on the field again. Now the man who has congenital herpes.
So you have the disease congenital herpes. What does this mean?
It means I've had herpes since I was born. This is because my mother has it and it spread from her active infection site to me. Often transmission to babies causes blindness or brain damage, but I was one of the luckier cases and got antiviral treatment early on.
How does your form of herpes affect your reproductive system?
Since my herpes disseminated to all over my body, small blisters can occur on my penis and inflame at random times. However, I am under antiviral treatment and my symptoms are kept minimal.
Thank you for your time. Now back to newscaster Emil.
Shit! I went through 36 slides, and slide 37 would not work. 36 slides, that takes like 15.
Redo the last one.
I'll see if I can edit it like that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I've been trying this for like an hour now.
Men hur går det med att du får uploada det?
I hope to. I hope.